challenged me to break out of it, but this one seemed impossible. The prison was called the villager prison, and on the outside it might look easy, but on the inside it was layered with bedrock, making it impossible to break out of. Am I gonna be good enough
Hello?
Wait, Teddy, is that you? What are you doing here?
I was arrested for not subscribing to seawatt.
That's right, you all like the last one. This is another 2-player prison. Are me and Teddy gonna be good enough to break out? I don't know, but the escape starts now. Right off the bat, I started looking around. I was on a platform in the middle of a room surrounded by lava. I also noticed that Teddy was right below me. I also noticed there was a whole nother section of my room, but I had no way to get across this lava without dying. On the other hand, Teddy was below me, and in his room there was a boat on the wall and an item frame. But other than that, there wasn't much in Teddy's room. There was a hallway, but when Teddy tried to follow it, he was blocked off by lava and couldn't go any further. So we already seemed a little stuck. We basically both had no way to make progress. For all intents and purposes, Teddy was trapped in a bedrock box and I was stuck in the middle of a pool of lava. But then I started thinking, if I somehow had the boat that Teddy had, I could do a boat jump across this lava into the next part of my room. But how was Teddy supposed to get the boat to me? We were separated by a layer of bedrock, and Teddy's attempts to throw the boat up to me weren't really proving successful, so it looked like that wasn't happening. It's impossible to pass an item through bedrock, right? Well, what if I told you that's not actually the case? When a dropped item gets stuck in a block in Minecraft, it starts moving up until it hits an air pocket. And by putting an item frame on the roof and punching the item out of it, you actually jam it in the block above. This made the block start moving upwards until it reached me and ended up in my inventory. Now I had the boat. I started hyping myself up because it'd been a while since I did one and got ready, and then I just went for the boat jump. And I made it to the other side alive, but I lost the boat in the process. Now I had access to a whole new part of my room. The first thing I noticed was a hole in the wall that had lava inside of it. I assumed that was probably the lava that was blocking Teddy's path, but I wasn't positive. Then I went deeper into my room. For me to continue even further, I was going to need some way to reach a doorway that was 3 blocks in the air. I jumped up to see if I could see anything in the next room that was useful, but I couldn't see anything. When I went to leave, I saw there was a furnace on the wall behind me and an item frame. I thought about placing the furnace down to get a better look into the next room, but that didn't seem right. After looking around for a while and not finding much else, I decided I was pretty sure I knew what to do with the furnace. But before I did it, I asked Teddy to stand in front of the lava so we were 100% positive that this was the lava that was blocking him. And once he did, I could tell for sure. So I went ahead and placed the furnace to stop the lava from blocking him. We had to wait a few seconds, but eventually the lava got out of Teddy's way and he now had access to continue down the hallway. He eventually made his way to a potion in an item frame. When he broke the potion, he saw that it was a Jump Boost 2 potion. The final thing Teddy saw in this room was that he was at the bottom of a bedrock hole that was really deep down. He had no way to get to the top, and the Jump Boost 2 potion wouldn't even get close to helping him get up there. It was too far. And at this point, since I was blocked by a 3-block jump, we were pretty sure I was the one who needed the Jump Boost 2 potion. But Teddy couldn't do the same trick he did at the start to get it to me because I was no longer able to get to that starting platform. We needed a different way to pass it back and forth, but we quickly realized that Teddy could use the furnace. He placed it in the furnace that I also had access to, and I picked it up. Now I had the Jump Boost 2 potion in my inventory, but this was not the answer to all my problems because a Jump Boost 2 only lets you make a 2-block jump. I needed to make 3, so I had to find like a secret block somewhere or some other way to make that final 3rd block of the jump, and that's when I used this trick. If you light yourself on fire, you can actually make jumps that are higher than normal. If you time it just right, the momentum gives you a boost, and I made it on my very first jump because I'm kind of a god gamer. I now had access to this next room. I was blocked by 2 netherite blocks and there was a button on the wall, so logically I thought if I pressed the button it would open the door and I could get through, but that didn't happen. Instead, I heard water drop, and that's when Teddy told me this tower started filling with water. He was now able to swim to the top of it. Little did we know, but Teddy just found the most dangerous puzzle yet. It looked easy at first. The floor of the room was covered with leaves. It was a 2-block drop, but Teddy didn't need anything from behind him, so after thinking for a little, he went ahead and decided to drop down. In the corner, he could see a lever that we both assumed would probably be what opened the door to my room, but he didn't pull it just yet. He kept looking around. He also saw on the roof another water dispenser like the one he just used to swim up. Other than that though, there was nothing else in the room really for him. But that's when Teddy had a very good idea. He switched his graphics setting from fast to fancy, and this allowed him to see through the leaves to the other side. He could see a bunch of dispensers all along the floor, so he decided to go to the corner and break one of the leaf blocks and see if he could access the dispenser, but it was 1 block away from him being able to reach it. So, with nothing else really left for him to do in this room, he went ahead and decided to press the lever, and that's when this puzzle got really serious. When Teddy pushed the lever, it did open my door like we thought, but that's not all it did.
Oh no. Okay, Jake, whatever you got, you better do it fast.
The dispensers below Teddy had filled the room with lava, and pretty soon all the leaves he was standing on were gonna burn up. I had to move quick to try to save him. In my room, there was an anvil in the wall and also a water block. There was also a crafting table and a smithing table above the door I walked in. Lastly, in the wall was a barrel that had 2 diamonds, 2 sticks, a netherite ingot, a Riptide 2 enchanted book, and a trident. Now, the Riptide 2 made me look up. If I could get Riptide 2 on this trident, I'd be able to gain access to this room above me. But when I went to enchant it, I realized the problem. I have no levels. So the true puzzle of this room is how do I get levels? And I do not have a lot of time to work with.
Yeah. Oh, that's crispy.
All I could do in my room with the items I had was craft one of these 3 things, but I didn't get how that would help. I needed to fight mobs or mine ores. I needed some way to get experience, and quick. How was these items supposed to get me any experience? I was really stuck and running out of time at a rapid pace.
Oh my god. Okay, get out. No, stop. Oh shit. No. Okay, Jake, I don't know what you're doing over there, but you want to speed it up a little.
I just kept thinking and thinking. I was so confused, but eventually I realized that I needed to craft a hoe. Now you might be wondering, seawatt, how is that going to help you at all? Well, if I use the smithing table to upgrade it, I get the achievement Serious Dedication. And this seems like it's not meaningful at first, but when you get the achievement Serious Dedication, you also get a bunch of EXP for completing it. I used this new EXP to enchant the trident, and once I did that, I hopped in the water. Then I launched myself up to this new room and started looking around. I saw there was a wooden button in the wall. There was also a sign that said deposit the hoe and item frames here. So I did it, and I asked Teddy if anything changed, but he said nothing changed at all. So I kept looking around my room. I thought about the wooden button I'd seen, and I went to go try to press it, but it was a little bit out of my range. I thought about throwing the trident at the button, but with Riptide it prevents me from throwing it. So that's when I realized I had to use this gridstone in the corner to remove the enchantment and threw the trident at the button. This time Teddy told me that water dispensed into the room that he was able to jump to, and that's how Teddy made his great escape from falling in the lava. Now the situation was a lot less stressful. We could catch our breath for a second. Teddy swam up the water and followed this path. He could tell he needed to drop down and continue along the prison, so he did. He followed this hallway until eventually he got to the bottom of a bedrock tower. There was an arrow pointing to Teddy that he had to go up, but he had no items and no way to make himself go up there. Also, when I threw the trident, water dropped into my room as well. I swam up the water and saw that I had a hallway I had to follow also. At the end of the hallway I saw there was a barrel, and inside the barrel was a fishing rod that was almost broken. I started exploring this new room. The first thing I saw was this sign that said break me above a pile of zombies. The next thing that caught my eye was the snow in the wall. After that I found this villager who was named Subscribe that would sell rotten flesh for leather boots, and then I saw this lava hallway. At the end of the hallway there was a sign that said make sure you could bring your partner with you before you went further. So I went back to go see what Ted's situation was. He tried to describe to me where he was, and eventually I realized he was on the other side of this wall. Now at this point I was pretty sure I knew how to get Teddy up. It was one of the oldest tricks in Minecraft. I bounced the fishing pole off the roof and told Teddy to make sure it landed on his head. Now, if you didn't know this in Minecraft, you can actually attach the fishing pole to your friends, and if you're really high above them when you pull them, you get these crazy reactions where they go flying. So this is exactly what I did. I pulled Teddy, breaking the fishing rod, but I launched him all the way up to this room above me. Now, Teddy started exploring his room. Teddy also had a lava path in his room, but for him it was more like a parkour, but the jumps were 5 blocks wide, so Teddy couldn't do them right now. He kept looking around his room and he saw he also had a crafting table on the wall as well as a dispenser with 3 iron, 6 sticks, and a smooth stone slab. With all these items and a crafting table, Teddy actually had a lot of different things he could craft, and we didn't know what he had to do yet, so we held off on it. We also saw we had this little cubby where we could both interact with each other, so you know I had to throw a couple punches at Ted. This cubby was useful though because it gave Teddy the ability to drop items down to me. I kept exploring my room. I went ahead and broke this sign that said break me. At first nothing happened, but then I heard piston noises and it popped up right behind me through the bedrock. This gave me an idea. If I could kill these zombies, then all their rotten flesh would do the exact same thing and pop up behind me through the bedrock. And you might be wondering why I want their rotten flesh. Well, maybe you already forgot, but this villager over here behind me trades me rotten flesh for leather boots. Now you might be wondering, well, what do the leather boots do? Well, that all comes down to this block right here. It's not regular snow, it's powdered snow. Meaning if I had a bucket and could also get a pair of leather boots, I could give Teddy the leather boots and then use the bucket of powdered snow to guide him across this parkour that he wasn't able to do before. So Teddy went ahead and crafted a bucket with his iron. He threw it down to me through our little cubby and I picked it up. I went ahead and grabbed the powdered snow, but this is when I realized we might have gotten a little bit ahead of ourselves. Sure, I had the powdered snow and I could place it here now, but I didn't have any way to get the boots yet. To get the boots, I needed rotten flesh, and I hadn't realized before, but the zombies in the hole were just out of my range, meaning I couldn't punch them and kill them. So how was I supposed to kill them for their flesh if I couldn't even reach them? This was a big problem, but the answer actually involved the powdered snow we just got. I could place powdered snow further than I could punch, and by placing the powdered snow on the zombies, over time that would cause them to take freezing damage, and eventually they would take enough damage from freezing that they would freeze to death and drop the rotten flesh. The rotten flesh went through the same mechanism the sign did, and eventually it popped up right behind me through the bedrock. Now that I had the rotten flesh, I was able to go to the subscribed villager and trade him the rotten flesh for a pair of leather boots, but all this did was expose the other problem. How was I supposed to get the leather boots up to Teddy? I mean, I couldn't throw it by the lava, and I also tried to throw it to him in our little cubby, but Teddy was too high up. The boots wouldn't reach him. This is where I had to start thinking again. Now, Teddy mentioned that with all the items he had left, there was actually only one thing he could craft, an armor stand. And this doesn't seem helpful at first until you really think about it. Teddy went ahead and crafted the armor stand, and I went back to the trader and bought another pair of boots and found out that that's all he sold. 2 was his limit. He wasn't going to sell me any more. So once Teddy had the armor stand and I had the boots, I went ahead and stacked myself up with the powdered snow and put the boots on Teddy's armor stand. Then all Teddy had to do was break the armor stand and collect the boots. Now with leather boots, Teddy would have the ability to walk on powdered snow without falling through it. So I was able to make him a bridge, and Teddy could use it to jump across. By doing this a few more times, we were able to get Teddy from one side of the bridge all the way to the other. Now we both had access to these hallways that we could explore and see what was left of the prison. Teddy went down his and I went down mine, but before I started going down mine, I made sure to collect the sign because you never know what's going to be useful later on. After I got the sign, I kept going down my hallway and saw that me and Teddy were in a big room together. I was almost to Teddy. On my side of the room, there was a villager who had 2 trades, a powdered snow bucket for a lectern or a lectern for a powdered snow bucket. On Teddy's side of the room, he also had a villager. His trades were a birch sign for 6 sugarcane or an emerald for a powdered snow bucket. That one was useless right now though because neither of us had an emerald or a way to trade for an emerald. Also in Teddy's room was a sign that said the Pit of Sacrifice, which was a giant hole with a stone pressure plate at the bottom. Finally, there was this jank, puzzly looking tower room at the back of his room. I also had one of those, but because I had the powdered snow bucket, I could actually do this trick where you build yourself up with powdered snow. You just grab it and place it underneath you as you jump. I did this and eventually I was able to get to the top. There was this big netherite door blocking me from going any further. I stepped on the pressure plates trying to open it, but no matter what I did, it wouldn't open. So eventually I kind of had to just give up and turn around and go back to the bottom. When I got to the bottom, I gave Teddy 2 of my birch signs because he said he could use them with his villager. So Teddy traded all his signs for some sugarcane, though we didn't know what to do with it yet. Then I gave Teddy my powdered snow bucket. He used that to grab the Pit of Sacrifice sign without falling into the hole. Then he used the powdered snow bucket to climb up his tower and see what was there. There was a sign that said 2 players required. This explains why I couldn't open the door on my own and neither could Teddy. Now we knew what the goal was for this room. Somehow we each had to get to the top of our towers at the same time to activate the doors, but right now we only had 1 powdered snow bucket, so somehow we had to get Teddy's villager to trade us the 2nd powdered snow bucket. Teddy grabbed the powdered snow and headed back down. He traded the new sign he got for more sugarcane, and at this point we'd done basically everything we thought there was to do in the room. That's until we remembered the Pit of Sacrifice. At the bottom of that hole was a stone pressure plate, meaning we would need an entity to activate it. We couldn't just throw an item down there. So I tried to convince Teddy to jump in the hole and sacrifice himself for the greater good. But that's when Teddy reminded me we could just use the armor stand, because that's an entity that has gravity. It fell to the bottom and a villager dropped into Teddy's room. He tried to trade with it, but this villager didn't have a profession, meaning he couldn't be traded with. But the solution to that was easy. Teddy gave me the powdered snow bucket and I traded my villager for a lectern. I came over and threw the lectern to Teddy. By placing a lectern next to a villager without a job, they gained the profession librarian. Once the villager became a librarian, he had trades, and one of them was 24 paper for emeralds. Teddy happened to have enough sugarcane to make exactly 24 paper, but he didn't have a crafting table, or at least that's what we both thought at first. Then we remembered in the other room there was a crafting table Teddy used to make the armor stand. All we had to do was go backwards. Teddy had to do a little bit more parkour, luckily it wasn't too bad, and he worked his way back to the other side to the room with the crafting table. He went ahead and crafted all the paper he needed. Then we went back to the room with the villagers, using the powdered snow trick again to get Teddy to the other side. Once back in the room with the villagers, I gave Teddy the lectern and he went ahead and placed it down near the villager. The villager turned himself back into a librarian and Teddy was able to trade him 24 paper for 1 emerald. Teddy took this emerald and went back to his original villager. He was able to trade him 1 emerald for a powdered snow bucket. Then Teddy destroyed the lectern that he had on his side of the room and gave it back to me. Then I traded my villager back for the lectern so that I could get a powdered snow bucket. Now we both had a powdered snow bucket and could climb our towers at the exact same time. We both went up really fast to the top of the tower. We each got on our sides pressure plates and eventually the door opened. Finally, for the first time in the prison, I was in the same room as Teddy. We started fighting each other a little bit and popping off, but we celebrated a little early. The next room was really suspicious. All the walls were layered with TNT. Me and Teddy started using our powdered snow trick to climb up. Once I got to the top, I gave Teddy my powdered snow bucket to help him get up faster. Teddy used both powdered snow buckets and climbed himself to the top, and then he gave me my powdered snow bucket back. We started looking around this new room and something was off immediately. The walls were covered with TNT. I picked up this spyglass and used it to read the sign. It said 1 must stay. While I was looking at that though, a netherite block was pushed by a piston into this circuit. I started looking at it and I realized if the rest of these netherite blocks got pushed up in the circuit, it would set off the TNT, blowing up the room. While I was realizing this, another block got pushed up. We were on a timer. This entire room was going to explode in probably less than a minute. We ran away and saw that there was a pressure plate right here. By stepping on it, it would activate this, making it possible to escape, but whoever was on it wouldn't be able to get out. And that's when we realized one of us was going to escape and the other one was going to be blown to pieces. Teddy, what do we do?
I'm gonna stay behind.
Wait, no, wait, what?
I guess this is what I get for not subscribing to seawatt.
Wait, Teddy, there's got to be another way.
There's no other way. Just go. But promise me one thing.
What is it?
Find out who put us in this prison and get revenge.
All right, Teddy, I promise I will. I won't forget this. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. I'll never forget what you did for me, Teddy. Never.
Bro, what were you doing in my prison?